Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max. සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න. Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max. සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න.
දසනකාන්තී චූර්ණය සහිත ලීවර් ආයුෂ් දන්තාලේපය දත්වල ඇති ප්‍රශ්න 10ක් වළකයි.
Source of strength. President Ranil Wickremesinghe says he considers the diaspora as a strength and a source of investment to the country. Office for Diaspora to be set up.
Just after I became Minister of Finance, I found that I was richer than the Republic of Sri Lanka as far as foreign exchange was concerned. And I had $1,000 at home which I had saved from it. So I was more than 1,000 times richer than the Republic.
Reciprocate. Activities of Yong Wang 5 will not affect the security and economic interests of any country, but no third party should obstruct its activities either, insists China's foreign ministry. The go-ahead. After initial controversy, Sri Lanka grants provisional approval to India's Adani Group to set up wind power projects in the north. It's Wednesday, the 17th of August 2022.
විම්දියර මිලිලීටර් 100 ස්මාර්ට් පැක් එක රුපියල් 85ට දැන් වෙළඳ පොලේ.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Joining you tonight on First at 9, AdaDerana English. I'm Indivari Amuatta and we take you to your top story. Sri Lanka gave India's Adani Group's green energy company provisional approval for 2 wind energy projects. Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Vijayasekara said the projects will be set up in Mannar and Punareen in an investment of over $500 million. According to the minister, the 2 projects are expected to generate over 500 megawatts of electricity. In March this year, a memorandum of understanding was signed between the Sri Lankan government and the Adani Group of India for 2 renewable energy generation projects in the northern province of the country. Accordingly, 2 wind power plants are expected to be built in Mannar and Punareen with an investment of $500 million. The 2 projects are expected to generate a combined power generation capacity of 500 megawatts, which will include 286 megawatts in Mannar and 234 megawatts in Punareen. Yesterday, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Vijayasekara met with officials of the Ceylon Electricity Board and the Sustainable Energy Authority to discuss progress of renewable energy projects in the country. In a tweet following the meeting, the minister said India's Adani Green Energy Company has been issued provisional approvals for the wind energy project in Mannar and Punareen.
Once the company signs official agreements with the Ministry of Power and Energy and hands over the report to us, we will grant approval within 14 days. 14 days is sufficient to inspect whether the report is good or not. We will grant that soon. The report needs to be prepared as per conditions of the Central Environment Authority.
Minister Vijayasekara also said in his tweet that along with the provisional approval for the Adani Group, another 21 out of 46 projects that were delayed due to amendments to the CEB Act will enter into power purchase agreements next week. Further, he said that 26 renewable energy proposals that were given provisional approvals will be expedited with grid clearance and transmission plans. Other proposals will be evaluated within 30 days. Now, President Ranil Wickremesinghe highlights the need to solve problems among ethnic communities in Sri Lanka, adding that he considers the diaspora community as a strength and a source of investment to the country. Speaking in Colombo last evening, the head of state said he will be setting up an office to deal with the diaspora community. He went on to say that Sri Lanka should aim at sectors such as logistics, agriculture and services to cater to a market of 500 million additional people who will be in our region by year 2050.
The 3rd National Apex Awards and the 35th Annual Conference of the Organisation of Professional Associations of Sri Lanka was held in Colombo last evening under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Just after I became Minister of Finance, I found that I was richer than the Republic of Sri Lanka as far as foreign exchange was concerned. And I had $1,000 at home which I had saved from a trip. So I was more than 1,000 times richer than the Republic. Within our own region by 2050, going from Saudi Arabia to Indonesia, there will be additional 500 million people, maybe more. Now that's a big market. So we're having a market at our doorstep. If you don't go for that market, you have no future. We have to find this big market to become competitive. And there are areas to look at like logistics. We can serve the whole region if Colombo Harbour, Hambantota and Trincomalee are properly developed. And one other area, agriculture. The services, the new technologies, developing tourism to a different level. We have to get ready for the 4th industrial revolution. It means a complete restructuring of our economy. When the government sector falls, we must have enough money and enough income to fund education and health. So we've got to move towards the social market economy. Then the governance itself. Everyone admits this model has failed. Now, are we going to do the same politics again? To bring the same model back? This is the question for all those in politics. So we are trying, as the Honourable Speaker knows, the new experiment. Firstly, all right, let's have the 22nd Amendment and pass it. Then we are trying to make Parliament into a government by having oversight committees, by having a national council. The oversight committees will not only have members of Parliament, they can invite 5 youth representatives who can ask questions from the parties. No other country in the world has allowed the oversight committees for young people to come in and take part. So we have to make a success of it. We also have to think of our electoral procedures, of our voting procedures. This electoral system with what we call preference vote is the one that is responsible for a lot of the damage to the system. Then we should be, in this Parliament, we must have the capability of coming up with a new system. We cannot be passing it on to others. The baby is ours. We've took it, we've got to carry it. And if possible from there, go ahead. And we want the country also. We must sort out our problems among the ethnic groups. We must sort it. It's gone on too long. The war was over in 2009. There are no need to fight again. Let's be as Sri Lankans, and not only as Sri Lankans, we are also looking at the diaspora. It's a strength. It's also a source of investment. So I've decided that we will set up a diaspora office, which will deal with the diaspora separately and the groups that they have.
Unfortunately, the nominations process in political parties in our country works something like this. There is no internal democracy in political parties, irrespective of what the party is, including my party. There's very little internal democracy in political parties in the whole of South Asia. Having been a student of South Asian politics, no internal democracy. So when somebody comes forward to become a prospective member, you see just 3 things. One thing you see is whether he's popular, whether he can win. Because after all, if he can't win, there's no point putting him. The second thing which will be looked at is, has he got the cash? Because you've got to spend to actually get elected. And the third thing is unsaid. Will he be loyal to us? We are the leaders. That's unsaid. We need to move away from this. We need to see whether people are fit and proper. We don't want alleged murderers or drug peddlers in the Sri Lankan parliament. I don't have to say more. If the criteria is specified is the criteria, then those people can come in. But we need to have fit and proper people coming into parliament. Honest and ethical, educated, as opposed to qualified, not just having degrees, but educated in the larger sense. People with skills and people with experience. Qualifications won't do. Your experience actually matters. Age doesn't matter if you have the experience, because you are needed to complement and to practically convert policy into some action plan that can be carried forward. You are needed for that, because a lot of us politicians don't have the experience. We may be even educated, but professionals have the experience, and you are needed. We need a systems change. But it's not just about acts and legislature. It's not just about that. We need a systems change, and the systems change starts with people.
Professionals are responsible for the establishment of good governance and economic growth. But you have allowed that responsibility to be taken by various other people, and you have neglected your duty towards the nation. It is the professional who should take the initiatives. If you want to see a change in this world, that you will have to do. You can't wait till the politicians are doing. It is the duty of the professionals. The duty of the professionals is to find solutions.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says China will not be allowed to use the Hambantota port for military purposes. Speaking during an interview with the Japanese newspaper Yomiuri Shimbun, President Wickremesinghe said the controversial Chinese vessel Yuan Wang 5 was permitted to enter the port of Hambantota on the basis of a research vessel, adding that Sri Lanka does not want the Hambantota port to be used for military purposes.
In his first interview with the Japanese media since taking office, President Ranil Wickremesinghe told the Yomiuri Shimbun newspaper on Sunday that China will not be allowed to use the southern port for military purposes. With regard to the Chinese research and survey vessel Yuan Wang 5 that docked at the port yesterday, President Wickremesinghe has said it was not identified under the category of military ship, adding that the vessel falls under the category of research ship, enabling the Sri Lankan government to permit entry clearance to Hambantota port. The head of state emphasized that there was no problem with leasing the port to China and that countries such as Australia and South Africa have similarly leased out their harbours. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has said he intends to finalize talks with the International Monetary Fund over a bailout by the end of August, adding that Sri Lanka will also start discussions with the creditors including China, India and Japan.
Meanwhile, the Chinese Foreign Ministry maintains that the Yuan Wang 5 ship is on marine scientific research activities and such will be consistent with international law and international customary practices. The ministry spokesperson said its activities will not affect the security and economic interests of any country and so should not be obstructed by any third party. After weeks of diplomatic tensions, the Chinese research and surveillance vessel Yuan Wang 5 docked at the Hambantota port yesterday with around 2,000 sailors on board. Concerns have been raised that the vessel is capable of tracking satellites and intercontinental missiles, leading to much controversy and concerns pertaining to India's security and economic interests. China said the vessel's stopover at Sri Lanka's southern port was for replenishment purposes. Yuan Wang 5 will be docked there until the 22nd. Meanwhile, during the daily media briefing of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, its spokesperson Wang Wenbin has assured that activities of the vessel will not affect another country.
I want to stress again that the marine scientific research activities of the Yuan Wang 5 ship are consistent with international law and international customary practice. They do not affect the security and economic interests of any country and should not be obstructed by any third party. China, as Sri Lanka's friendly neighbour, feels deeply concerned for the economic and social difficulties facing Sri Lanka at the moment. China has been doing its utmost to support and help Sri Lanka pull through the difficulties. This is what we have been doing and what we will continue to do.
LAFS reduces its prices. Let's find out the new prices when we return after this break.
Big 3.
LAFS Gas has decided to reduce prices of its domestic gas cylinders with effect from midnight tonight. Accordingly, the price of a 12.5 kilogram cylinder has been slashed by 1,050 rupees. With that, the new price of a 12.5 kilogram cylinder will be 5,800 rupees. The new price of a 5 kilogram cylinder will be 2,320, while a 2 kilogram cylinder will be priced 928 rupees. Meanwhile, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation hopes to commence refinery operations this week to operate without any interruptions as continuous supply of crude is ensured. Following a meeting with the commercial management and refinery officials of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation this morning, Energy Minister Kanchana Wijayasekara said he hoped to have the orders confirmed in advance to obtain petroleum products on better premiums. The meeting was called to discuss cargo plans for September to December as well as refinery operations. Meanwhile, the minister said that he also held discussions with the Ceylon Electricity Board Engineers Union and other union representatives last afternoon, during which they discussed reform plans for the CEB. The minister has requested them to hand over their proposals for restructuring the CEB and to assist in implementing the renewable energy project plans. Now, Sri Lanka's death toll due to COVID-19 climbed to 6,635 today after the Director General of Health Services confirmed 5 more COVID-19 related deaths in the country yesterday. Accordingly, 4 of the victims were aged 60 years and above. The remaining victim was aged around 30 to 59 years. Another 161 new COVID-19 infections have also been identified in the country today. This brings the total number of COVID-19 related cases in Sri Lanka so far to 668,497. Taking you to an update on the political situation, leader of the 43rd Brigade and independent parliamentarian Patli Champika Ranawaka says they're not ready to support any program that extends the powers of the Rajapaksas. Meanwhile, the Samagi Jana Balawegya MP Iran Vikramaratne says that the loss-making institutions in the country should be immediately restructured as their operations continue to burden the general public.
තැන්පවතින ගොඩනගන්න යන විදිහේ සර්වපාක්ෂික ආණ්ඩුවට අපේ සහයෝගයක් එන්නේ විධායකයේ වලට අපේ සහයෝගයක් නැහැ. ඒ වෙනුවට විවෘත වැඩපිළිවෙලක් තියෙනවා නම් අපි ඇවිල්ලා කරන්න. එහෙම නැතුව මේ රාජපක්ෂ පවුලට තව වටයකින් හරි හම්බු කරගන්න, ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ දේශපාලන බලය 2030 නුත් එහාට ගෙනියන්න මේ පවතින සීමිත ඩොලර් ප්‍රමාණයක් මංකොල්ල ගන්න හදන වැඩපිළිවෙල වලට අපි නම් දායක වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
සර්වපාක්ෂික ආණ්ඩුවක් කියන දෙයක් නෑ දැන්. ඇත්තටම තියෙන්නේ රනිල් රාජපක්ෂ කණ්ඩායමත් එක්ක අටෝගත්ත ආණ්ඩුවක්. ඔහු ඉදිරිපත් කරේ ඔහුගේ ප්‍රතිපත්තිය. දැන් ඒකට යම්කිසි විදියක සාධාරණීකරණයක් ලබා ගැනීම සඳහා අනිත් පක්ෂවලට එකතු වෙන්න කියනවා. ඉතින් ඒ වෙන එක්කෙනෙක්ගේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න අපිට එකතු වෙන්න කිසිම හේතුවක් නැහැ.
පිට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා, රටත් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. තාමත්ම මෑතකදී සර්වපාක්ෂික රජයක් පිටවන්නට පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා.
හුඟක් තියෙනවා අලාභ ලබන ආයතන. එතකොට මේ අලාභ ලබන ආයතන මෙහෙම තියාගෙන යන්න බෑනේ. මේක තියාගෙන ගියාම ඒකට ගෙවන්න වෙන්නේ මේ රටේ ඉන්න දුප්පත් මිනිස්සුන්ට කඩේට ගියාම ගෙවන්න බදු වැඩි කරගෙන යන්නේ ඒක නිසානේ. මේ අලාභේ පියවන්නනේ මේ කරගෙන යන්නේ. ඉතින් හුඟක් ආයතන තියෙනවා මේ ප්‍රතිව්‍යුහ ගත කළ යුතුමයි. ඔකේ දෙකක් නැහැ. මේ ගුවන් සේවාව සමාගම්වත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. අනිත් ඒවාවත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ මේ රටට. සමහර ඒවා තියෙනවා අලාභ ලබන ඒවා පාරිභෝගිකයට ප්‍රයෝජනයක් නැහැ. හිනා කන වැඩ තියෙන්නේ. සමහර ඒවා අලාභ ලැබලා බෝනස් උත් ගෙවලා. සමහර ඒවා තියෙනවා පාරිභෝගිකයට නැත්නම් රටේ ඉන්න පුරවැසියට ඒකේ ප්‍රයෝජනයක් නැත්නම් සමහර ඒවා වහලා දාන්න ඕනේ. සමහර දේවල් ප්‍රතිව්‍යුහගත කරන්න ඕනේ. සමහර දේවල් පුද්ගලිකංශ රාජ්‍ය එකතු වෙලා කරන්න පුළුවන්.
Taking you to the Colombo Stock Exchange, the bourse witnessed selling pressure for a second consecutive day as retailers cut their margin positions, pushing down the index below 9,000 levels, losing 179 points. And a healthy quarterly reporting season, together with the exceptional performance of the market during the past 4 weeks, also enabled retailers to take out profits on fears that the market momentum is broken. Meanwhile, as Energy Ministry confirmed that there will be no price revision for fuel for the month of August, helping retailers to actively trade LIOC, which contributed positively to the ASPI today. Turnover dropped below 1.5 weeks low and was recorded at 3.8 billion rupees, although remaining above 44%. And energy sector continued to dominate and contribute 29% to market, while food, beverage and tobacco and capital goods sectors jointly contributed 28%. Foreign investors remained net buyers for the second day, with John Keel's holdings recording the highest foreign inflow of 65.3 million rupees by leading the foreign buying continuously. With the Public Utilities Commission granting permission to Ceylon Electricity Board to increase power tariffs and off-peak and daytime tariff applicable to industries has increased exponentially. The increased proposal by the PUCSL suggested off-peak industrial electricity tariff be increased from ₹6.85 to ₹14.50 and daytime tariff be increased from ₹11 to ₹18.50. In response, the Joint Apparel Association submitted counter-proposals at the stakeholder consultation identifying the 113% increase in off-peak industrial electricity tariffs to be extraordinarily high and detrimental to the industry. JAF suggested implementing the final tariff increases in 2 phases, with the proposed rate being reduced to approximately 50% in each phase. In some sport news, the International Cricket Council has issued upcoming cycle of the ICC Men's Future Tours program for 2023 up until 2027, featuring 5 major ICC events starting with the Cricket World Cup next year in India. India will also play joint host with Sri Lanka in the 2026 T20 World Cup, a first of its kind joint venture in this format. India and Sri Lanka were joint hosts of the 2011 50-over World Cup along with Bangladesh. West Indies and the USA will host the T20 World Cup in 2024, which will be followed by the return of the Champions Trophy in 2025 to be hosted by Pakistan. The FTP cycle will be rounded off by the Cricket World Cup in South Africa, Zimbabwe and Namibia in 2027. This is full members of the ICC will play more international cricket across each of the 3 formats in the next Future Tours program cycle. In the 2023-2027 FTP cycle, the 12 members will play 777 international matches, 173 tests, 281 ODIs and 323 T20Is compared to 669 in the current one. And that brings tonight's edition of First at 9 to an end. We'll see you again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, take care.